I don't think that you can pinpoint a time. Perhaps the 1996 two aircraft carrier sent by President Clinton, was as close to it as ever. That woke up the Chinese. You have no choice but to protect your own economic interest. But that said, China is evolving gradually economically, and the political and military need to protect your economic interests will grow together with the economic rise. So the question rather should be posed to the United States. What kind of relationship do you want to have with China? If you want to have a good relationship with China, China can easily become more like Japan. Although, by the way, Japan has the second largest defense budget in the world.
大家好，这里是嘎人死绝频道。刚才的精彩集锦已经把一个关键事实摆在我们面前：今天中国对自身经济利益的保护，并不是突然产生的野心，而是从一次次现实冲击中逐步形成的判断。回望1996年2艘美国航空母舰逼近中国，中国当时几乎无力回应。那一刻带来的震动，也让中国更加清楚地认识到，经济发展到什么程度，就必须拥有与之匹配的安全能力和国际话语权。更值得玩味的是，现场嘉宾没有顺着西方惯常的叙事，把中国的崛起简单描述成威胁，反而直接把问题抛回给美国。你们究竟想和中国建立怎样的关系？如果希望中国成为朋友，就不要一边要求中国承担责任，一边又在他加强自保时指责他扩张。接下来，正片将从能源安全、军事布局到南海争议、一带一路以及中美关系，层层拆解中国为什么会走到今天这一步。面对一个正在改变世界秩序的中国，西方真正需要回答的，或许不是中国为何崛起，而是自己准备如何面对这个现实。
Ich selbst bin vor 5 Jahren nach China gekommen, ziemlich genau zum Amtsantritt von Präsident Xi Jinping. In den 5 Jahren seit damals ist Chinas Volkswirtschaft, schon damals die zweitgrößte der Welt, noch einmal um 50% gewachsen. Von etwa 8 Billionen Dollar Bruttosozialprodukt auf etwa 13 Billionen Dollar. Auch Deutschland ist in den vergangenen 5 Jahren stark gewachsen, um etwa 9%. Aber man stelle sich vor, Deutschland wäre 5-mal so stark und 5-mal so schnell gewachsen, also wie China. Welche Auswirkungen das auf unsere Selbstwahrnehmung hätte, aber auch unsere Wahrnehmung der Welt, auf unsere Politik, vor allen Dingen unsere Außenpolitik. Diese Größenordnung muss man immer wieder vor Augen haben, um zu verstehen, welches wirtschaftliche Momentum hinter dem Aufstieg Chinas steht und welche Auswirkungen das auf die politische Führung hat.
Mr. Chan, a few weeks ago, our Beijing correspondent wrote in a Spiegel cover story about China, "This is the end of an era in which the global centers of power were clearly defined and the leading role of the US has never been questioned." Would you share this analysis?
Would I share this assessment?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you have 1.38 billion people in China, call it 1.4. They were very poor 30-some years ago. So for them to seek a better living is a very natural thing for anybody anywhere in the world. And after 40 years of pretty bad history, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they finally figure out and decide to change their ways with the help of Deng Xiaoping. And so the rise of China is an inevitability. As Henry Kissinger says, for 3,000 years, China was at the height of human civilization. When Europeans, not my word, Henry's, when Europeans were still living in caves, China was already at the height of civilization, and that's true. Now, the last 200 years, China was really down and out. So much so that Hong Kong was taken by Britain from 10,000 miles away. And so for China today to rise is an inevitability back to the trend line of history of 3,000 years. Could 200 years of bad history reverse 3,000 years of glorious history? Probably not.
But what he was talking about was not just economic growth. We have been used to economic growth in incredible figures in China for decades now. What he's talking about is that in addition to this amazing economic growth, there is now a new political ambition which became visible for just some time ago. So I think when he was speaking about the end of an era, this was more in a political or geopolitical aspect he meant it.
The reality of human history is that you can never totally divorce economics from politics. Economics will always bring political power. And political power is necessary to keep your economic growth. So get used to it. When you have a big country like China, 1.4 billion people rising economically, it is absolutely natural that political power will accompany the economic power. If not, you will not be able to maintain that growth. I cite you an example. China, 20% of the energy need is imported. Right now, not quite that much, but very soon it'll be 20%. So how many of you have watched a movie called Captain Phillips? Tom Hanks? You know that movie? Good. Young people have watched it. So imagine a Chinese ship, a tanker, coming out of the Gulf of Hormuz, met some Somalia bandits. They couldn't tell the difference between Captain Phillips and Captain Chan. And they go after the Captain Chan ship. What are you going to do? How do you protect your energy security? Would you call the 7th Fleet of the United States and say, please help? Don't forget, 1996, 2 aircraft carriers from the United States 7th Fleet Navy parked outside of Taiwan, and there's nothing. Clinton sent them there. There's nothing China could do in 1996. That woke up the Chinese and say, wow, there's just 2 battles, 2 aircraft carriers from America. And America has 14 of them, by the way. 2 of them, the whole of China can do nothing. And so would they call the 7th Fleet if they mistake you for Captain Phillips? So no choice but to have a navy in order to protect your security of energy, right?
Sure, but in the West we've got the impression that now from the need of protection, having a navy, an army, there is a new political will under Xi Jinping to play a certain role on an international level. Is there any moment for you, a specific moment you could pinpoint when these political ambitions of China became clear in the near past?
I don't think that you can pinpoint a time. Perhaps the 1996 2 aircraft carrier sent by Clinton, President Clinton, was as close to it as ever. That woke up the Chinese. You have no choice but to protect your own economic interest. But that said, China is evolving gradually economically, and the political and military need to protect your economic interests will grow together with the economic rise. So the question rather should be posed to the United States. What kind of relationship do you want to have with China? If you want to have a good relationship with China, China can easily become more like Japan. Although, by the way, Japan has the 2nd largest defense budget in the world. Okay. So it's up to the United States what kind of a world of tomorrow you want. China is just doing what is necessary.
We got the impression that last autumn something happened. Let's perhaps listen what our Beijing correspondent is saying to this.
Vor 5 Jahren noch galt ein Diktum, das der Reformpolitiker Deng Xiaoping in den 80er Jahren geprägt hat. Taoguang Yang-Hui, sinngemäß übersetzbar als "Lass dir Zeit und verbirg deine Stärke". Mit anderen Worten, lasst uns erst China entwickeln und uns nicht einmischen in Krisen draußen in der Welt, die uns vielleicht gar nichts angehen. In den vergangenen 5 Jahren allerdings konnten wir sehen, wie dieses Diktum Deng Xiaopings immer deutlicher aufgeweicht wurde. Wir sahen Chinas Engagement in Afrika, Chinas verstärktes Selbstbewusstsein in der südchinesischen See, sein Auftreten gegenüber Europa, den USA, Japan. Seit dem Oktober des vergangenen Jahres aber wissen wir, dass diese Aufweichung von Dengs zurückhaltender Doktrin ein fester Plan ist. Präsident Xi Jinping hat offen und zum ersten Mal ausgesprochen auf diesem Parteitag, dass China künftig eine zentrale Rolle auf der Weltbühne einnehmen will. Damit hat er erklärt, dass China zurückkehrt an eine Stelle, die ihm zusteht und eine Rolle einnehmen wird, künftig, die seiner weltpolitischen Bedeutung und seiner Größe entspricht.
So, Ronnie, was that 19th Party Congress, was that a watershed in the history of China in the sense that, we have returned to our rightful sort of stature in the community of nations, and we're no longer going to stick to that policy of, reluctance and hiding our true intentions?
The answer is a very simple one. Deng Xiaoping said that, meaning that we have to hide ourselves, don't stick out your head, right? Just buckle down and do your own thing. That is at a day and age when China was very poor. Its reliance on international affairs is very limited. So of course you do that, don't cause trouble. But as I said, now 2 things happen. Number one, China's economy is so integrated with the rest of the world. Energy, as I mentioned, also there's food security. And so there is the need that stems from economics, number one. Number two, you have the United States. The United States, everywhere the Chinese turn, Africa, Latin America, Middle East, everywhere you go, America just slap you on the face.
看完整场讨论，最值得我们记住的，或许不是某一个具体判断，也不是某一位嘉宾的鲜明立场，而是一个正在加速到来的现实：中国已经不再只是一个被观察、被等待崛起的国家，而是已经成为世界秩序中的重要参与者。无论是贸易、能源、科技、军事，还是环境、文化与国际安全，中国的每一个重大选择都可能在很远的地方产生回响。对于世界其他国家来说，中国的存在本身就足以改变原有的力量平衡。这场对谈中，一个反复出现的关键词就是利益。中国为什么要发展海军？为什么要重视能源通道？为什么要推动“一带一路”？为什么要扩大在非洲、中亚和欧洲的合作？这些问题的背后，既有经济计算，也有安全焦虑，还有一个大国在经历长期贫弱之后，对自身命运的重新确认。一个拥有庞大人口、巨大经济体量，并且深度融入全球市场的国家，不可能永远只关注国内，也不可能把自己的安全完全交给别人来保障。当经济利益延伸到世界各地，保护这些利益的政治与军事需求也必然随之增加。但理解一个国家的安全逻辑，并不等于认同它的所有做法。中国崛起带来的影响确实包含机会，也包含风险。我们可以看到它为全球贸易、基础设施建设、能源转型和文化交流带来的动力，也必须正视监控扩张、言论空间、少数族群、香港治理以及地区争端等问题。真正成熟的观察不应该只有赞美，也不应该只有恐惧。把中国描绘成全能的威胁，和把中国描述成没有缺点的榜样，本质上都是对复杂现实的简化。同样，西方世界也需要重新审视自己，过去数百年形成的主导地位，并不是永远不会改变的历史定律。美国是否继续承担全球责任？欧洲能否形成清晰而一致的战略？西方是否愿意接受一个不同制度、不同历史经验的大国进入核心舞台？这些问题最终都会影响未来的国际秩序。如果一个国家一边要求中国承担更多责任，一边又对中国的每一次行动保持怀疑，甚至把所有地区问题都归咎于中国，那么这种关系就很容易陷入互不信任的循环，尤其在南海、台海、朝鲜半岛等敏感议题上，历史记忆、现实利益和安全判断彼此交织，每一方都认为自己是在防御，是在回应，是在保护自身利益。但当每个国家都以自保为理由，不断增加军事部署， 安全感并不会因此简单增加，反而可能让误判和冲突的风险不断上升。国际政治最危险的地方就在于各方都觉得自己没有选择，却又都在一步步压缩别人的选择空间。因此，未来真正需要避免的不是世界上出现一个强大的中国，而是大国之间无法建立基本的沟通机制，无法承认彼此合理的安全关切，也无法在竞争之外保留合作的空间。中国和美国可以竞争，但不能把竞争变成全面敌对；欧洲可以坚持自己的价值观，但也不能把价值观变成划分世界的墙。中国可以维护自身利益，但大国越强大，就越需要对自己的行动后果承担更大的责任。力量越大，越不能只强调权力而不谈责任，影响越广，越不能只要求别人理解自己，也必须学会接受外界的质疑。这场讨论还提醒我们，所谓世界秩序并不只是某一个国家造成的结果。旧秩序正在松动，新秩序却还没有真正建立。美国的战略收缩，中国的持续扩张，欧洲的犹豫不决，以及其他地区力量的上升，共同构成了今天复杂而充满不确定性的国际环境。未来的世界很可能不再由单一强国决定，也不会简单回到过去那种清晰的阵营对立，而是进入一个多中心、多层次，既合作又竞争的长期调整期。对于普通观众来说，我们也许无法决定大国如何博弈，却可以决定自己用什么方式理解这个世界。面对新闻，要尽量区分事实与观点；面对历史，要警惕只挑选对自己有利的片段；面对不同国家，更要避免用单一的善恶标准替代真实分析。真正有价值的思考，不是急着给一个国家贴上标签，而是追问他为什么这样做，谁从中获益，谁承担代价，以及有没有更低成本、更少冲突的替代方案。中国的崛起已经是现实，世界能否适应这种变化，则取决于各方能否从零和竞争走向有限合作。历史不会因为某个国家感到不安就停止前进，也不会因为某个国家拥有实力就自动授予它道德正当性。真正稳定的秩序既需要力量之间的平衡，也需要规则、沟通和相互克制。对于中国如此，对于美国、欧洲以及世界上的每一个国家同样如此。那么在您看来，中国崛起对世界带来的最大机会是什么？最大的风险又是什么？西方国家应该把中国当作竞争者、合作伙伴，还是两者兼具？欢迎把您的看法写在评论区，也欢迎点赞订阅，继续收看更多精彩视频。